Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I'm Andrew Scaff. He's Mike Werman. We've been on hiatus for, what was that, 18 months?
18 months. We're still recovering from our horrible Super Bowl 55 picks.
Not good, but we're back. And how you been, Mike?
I've been pretty good. I've been recuperating, convalescing, licking my wounds.
Yes.
Since we decided, we were wondering how many points would the Chiefs beat the Buccaneers by, rather than considering
would they win or not?
Would they win a lot? But
not would they win, but how much would they win by?
how much would they win by? That's what we were. That was the real question. But apparently the Chiefs have just gone ever so slightly downhill from that point on. But we hope they can bounce back this year.
Yes.
How have you been in the meantime, Andrew?
Busy, plenty busy. But happy to be talking about sports again. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, we thought maybe COVID might be over by then, but we're still dealing with it.
Still remote, still on Zoom. But
our second president has contracted COVID now, so
that's right. As will every future president, do you think?
Perhaps. Maybe every future president already has contracted COVID.
Pretty likely. That's almost a guarantee, actually.
Yeah. Or our once and future President Trump, unfortunately, probably not.
Let's talk about another embarrassing topic. Rather than that. I had one question specifically pulled out for you though. Here, are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready for anything.
Which scenario is more embarrassing? The Red Sox being blown out 28-5 on Friday this week, or the Royals having something like 40% of the unvaccinated players known in the league at this point.
One game losing 28-5, that's bad, but it's one game in the season. I think the Royals having the most unvaccinated players is the most embarrassing, probably.
It's a continuing embarrassment, though, right?
Like if it's 40% of the known players in the league, it's how do we know why are the Royals players more known than the other ones? Which might be a topic of itself.
Well, I mean, the only way anybody knows any of it is like who travels.
They can't go to Canada.
And right? So of all the teams that have gone to Canada during the course of the year, there have been, I think, 25 players total that have not been able to travel into Canada.
10 of them are Royals. That's sad. I think that's more embarrassing than anything, given the fact that
yes,
agreed.
Fully agreed.
It's an easy set of shots to get, especially if you're making millions of dollars. You don't have to go Joe Rogan on it. You can just say, even if you don't really believe in its effectiveness, it's still what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not some sort of Bill Gates mind control rig thing,
Right. I think it's more of a mindset of a type of player that Dayton Moore and JJ Picola have tried to look for in Royals players, and it's not necessarily that he's looking for the best baseball players, but more of a kind of a Christian sort of mindset, and
the dumb right-wing white guy, maybe.
Yeah, and then those are that's the group that tends to be less receptive to vaccination over play on the field and being a good teammate or doing what you can to play, that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's a failure of the.
It did sour me on both Witt and Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah. Lowers their trade value also, especially for teams in the AL East. I'll have to play Toronto later in the year, possibly in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not great.
No.
It's bad for the team, and it's embarrassing for.
If you're in the AL East, you play 9 or 10 of your games in Canada every year. So that's more than 5% of your games in Canada.
Yeah. But more importantly, the potential playoff games. For any AL team, may have to travel to Toronto for a couple of games.
And the Royals did that, of course, in 2015 when they won the World Series. They went into Toronto, and of course, that was pre-COVID, but how things would have been different if some of their best players could not have played.
Right.
or best pitchers, especially relief pitchers.
Right. Exactly. But vaccinations weren't a political issue 2015 either. So
No,
maybe,
that was
I don't know that it would have had the same issue
a
then.
happier time for everyone. Yeah.
Yes. Right. All right. Why don't we shift gears now? Let's talk about
Second topic.
what do we want to talk about next? Do we want to talk about football or college sports?
Let's go with football.
So jump into this. We talked about discussing the Chiefs' potential 53-man roster.
Yeah, that was one of the things. It was one of the projects we wanted to look at long term on the new Morning Trek Power Hour, was to discuss and maybe make predictions on the Chiefs' 53 man roster that they're going to have in the fall. Right now, they have 90 people in training camp. Maybe a few, maybe more here and there, give or take injuries and things like that. But by the beginning of the season, they're going to have 53 spots on their roster for salary cap purposes, and plus some practice squad guys. So yeah, I think we were going to try to make a prediction about who those 53 would be, and we're going to go position group by position group, and it's probably easiest to start with. Or maybe not easy. It's probably easiest to start with the kicker and the kicker Harrison Butker or people like that. But we can start with the quarterback position group, since we know at least one of the people who definitely will be on that team.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
I don't think. Do we want to discuss Mahomes in any way?
We may just want to say that his salary does bump up by a drastic amount this season by what was it, $29 million additional salary.
Yeah, he's up to 36 million or so this year from
Yeah.
7 million last year.
Yeah, so he'll now make up 17% of the cap by himself, one guy.
So it's pretty high. Yeah, he's
which does mean that there's going to be more competitive battles at a lot of other positions. Now they have to shift to this new model for how the roster is going to be structured financially.
Yeah, the quarterback, they can't spend money bringing in a lot of high-priced free agents, especially in offense anymore. They're going to have Mahomes make some players into potential high-priced free agents that go elsewhere, and that's sort of what happened, I guess, with the Tyreek Hill situation, and maybe to a lesser extent the Byron Pringle and Demarcus Robinson situations, where they left for slightly greener pastures elsewhere where they could get more money.
They were able to pick up some named wide receivers that you've heard of, but we'll get into that, I guess, here later, I guess. But
we'll talk about Juju Smith-Schuster and Marcus Valdes-Scantling and some others next time.
Much less pricey though than what Hill is going to get, right?
Yeah, they might have addition by subtraction in some ways, but multiple. Anyway, let's talk about the quarterbacks.
Sure.
So we have Mahomes.
So they have this giant increase in salary at Mahomes spot. Is Chad Henne worth $3.3 million this year?
I don't think so, but I think he's going to be kept, because I think I don't think they save any money by getting rid of him. I think he's 3.3 million on the books no matter what. Although if the roster spot becomes more important, because then the money maybe. But at this point, you would think that well enough, you might think you could even stow Henne on the practice squad. Would anybody else pick him up for 3.3 million as the backup at this point? Anywhere else? Because we have a younger quarterback, Shane Buechele, who seems like he is somebody that the Chiefs are trying to groom for the future backup position.
Yes. Future backup.
Yeah, and is it worth keeping 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't tend to carry 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, unless they know somebody has an issue.
Yeah, only when Matt Moore came back and when Mahomes was hurt and Henne was already hurt, did they keep 3, I think.
Right.
That was 3 years ago now.
Yeah, I think 3 years ago.
Yeah. So
Like, so Boucher will definitely be on the practice squad, right? And then
Yeah, but last year I think he was eyed by a number of teams maybe being put on the active roster. And so the Chiefs did end up putting him on the active roster as the season went on. I think I know at least one the Arizona Cardinals at least were looking closely at Bouchel, maybe some other teams as well. So you would think maybe other teams might pick him up as a potential backup. And he was a solid quarterback in at University of Texas and SMU. So he might be some of the Chiefs need to put on the roster in order to keep. And maybe that's why they brought in Dustin Crum
right.
as their fourth quarterback, free agent pickup this year out of Kent State. I don't know much about Dustin Crum.
Yeah.
Do you, Andrew?
I know that he's listed as an age of 0 on Spotrac.
Yeah, Crum. He is.
That's not accurate.
23 years of age.
Oh,
born in 1999, and he was actually a very good college player in Division I in the MAC, playing for Kent State. He last year he threw for more than 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he also ran for 703 yards with 12 touchdowns. So he's seems to be a sort of a dual threat quarterback, maybe a homeless man's Josh Allen, somebody like that. We'll say somebody maybe more in the mold of Mahomes than Bouchel. I don't think Bouchel is thought to be as mobile as that. He only for SMU, he never rushed for more than 105 yards, only a couple of touchdowns, and so I think there's more of a dual threat with young Mr. Crum, Dustin Crum. Hopefully he's not too crummy.
Nice dad joke.
Yeah, pretty good.
Perfect.
What would you say? What are your predictions here for the Chiefs roster? Do they keep? Well, of course they'll keep Mahomes. Do they keep 2? Do they keep 3? Do they try to keep Henny, and in that case potentially lose Bouchel but keep Crum on the practice squad? Do they keep the 2 young guys and what happens with Henny? What are your predictions here?
Well, I think they definitely have 2 quarterbacks on the main roster, and I think I'd be shocked if it's anything other than Mahomes and Henny. But then, yeah, I don't know. They'll probably use both Bouchel and Crum in the only 3 preseason games they have this year, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean they'll at least keep one of the 2 will definitely be on the practice squad, and then the other one they may figure out how to stash him somewhere too, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the question. I think they'll keep Henny too, but I think Henny is by this point kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, but it is the last year of his contract, so I don't know how they get rid of him unless they have a way to recover the salary.
Yeah.
If they're gonna have to eat it anyway, they may as well just keep him, right?
Yeah, and so we have Bouchel and Crum battling it out for third. But I think that at least it seemed like at least Bouchel was the one that they liked.
Yeah.
Last year.
I mean, the hope is that they never have to have him on the field, though, right? I mean,
yeah. And maybe there's
not any disrespect towards Bouchel, but I mean, the hope is that Mahomes plays every snap of every game, right?
I think so too. Maybe there's a possibility of a trade of Bouchel for a low round pick.
Sure.
If they think Crum is decent.
Yeah.
Probably be on the practice. I don't think anyone's gonna pick up Crum to be on the active roster this year.
Yeah.
Bouchel might see some, especially if somebody goes down. I still think they should. I think if they were smart, they should keep Bouchel as their second quarterback, keep Crum on the practice squad as the third, and just have 2 young guys behind Mahomes. And then, if they need to, they don't need to give a roster spot to Henny. They can bring him in, since he's already under contract. They could bring him in on a minimum deal.
Yeah.
And if he's not going anywhere, I don't know. I don't know what Henny brings other than just veteran presence, which you would think, 5-6 years now into his tenure with the Chiefs, Mahomes has veteran presence and knows the playbook and knows how to do all these things as well as Henny can. So I don't find, and especially also now with Mike Kafka coming back, or Mike Kafka leaving, but with Nagy coming back as the Chiefs quarterback coach, that's another brain in the room.
Yeah, and like you said, Mahomes probably isn't really requiring any veteran guidance to learn from the quarterback. Maybe from the coaching standpoint, there's still something to learn, but I don't know that he's going to pick up anything new from.
Yeah, you have Matt Nagy there. You have Bieniemy. You have Reed. You have all the offensive minds that have been there for years. I don't know what Henny provides other than he's in a uniform.
Right. Well, a body who has played games in the past and could maybe play another game if required.
I guess the idea is, well, if Mahomes is out, the Chiefs season is gone.
Yeah.
Why not let a younger guy try? And
right. Well, I think it's more about just like, is there somebody that could bridge the gap for a game or two?
A game or two.
Yeah. And I think that's really why that's why they brought Matt Moore back that 1 year too.
Yeah.
Was that they needed somebody that could be there for a game or two, and just kind of hold down the fort and not have it devolve into insanity, right?
Yeah, but then why bring in the young guy? Why have the young guys at all? Then if you want a veteran.
Yeah, I mean, when they brought Matt Moore back, that was when Mahomes was very young and not maybe more in need of a veteran presence to sort of help guide.
Yeah.
But I think that time is officially over now, though. I know he's signed his first real contract with the team now too.
Yeah, if I were, well, again, it's not my money. I would if I like Bouchel as a potential backup, I would do anything I could to keep Bouchel on the roster because I would think he's going somewhere. But if you think Crum is as good as Bouchel, see what
but where are they going though? Like into the backup role, or?
Well, Crum, I think Crum's not going to be the backup for sure. Crum, if Crum stays, that means that either Henny or Bouchel are the backup. Crum is third on the and on the practice squad.
Been traded or something, right?
And so no one's going to trade for Henny. No, somebody might trade for Bouchel, maybe a 7th round pick, 6th round pick, something like that.
Yeah,
but
nothing substantial though, right?
I think it might depend on how much they like Crum, and they'll let Bouchel go. If Crum can be a decent third young option, and they still like, I think they still like Henny. I like you said, I think they're going to keep Henny because he's making $3 million. That's a lot of money to get rid of, especially with the cap being so tight.
Yeah. Yes.
So I see it as probably 2 active quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Unless they really, really, really like Bouchel.
I can't imagine they like him that much.
If they really, really like Bouchel, why keep Henny?
Right. Right. I think the only reason you really keep Henny is because it is the last year of his contract, and these other 2 guys are basically competing for next year's spot as Henny, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah. Should we do one more position group today, or talk about running backs maybe real quick, and then
yeah, we can talk running backs. Let's talk some running backs. We have do you want to do running backs and the fullback, Michael Burton?
Sure. Yes. Yeah, may as well. All of the running backs.
So I guess they'll keep Burton, right?
And the blocking back, yeah.
They like
yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't.
They like him.
So they had the one addition, I guess, right, from
Here.
last season's Ronald Jones pickup.
Ronald Jones, yeah. Brought back Jerick McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
There's still Derek Gore on the roster. They
Edwards-Helaire,
yes.
hopefully healthy.
Hopefully healthy finally. He's I could see it, on some of the fan websites, you see people wanting to trade Edwards-Helaire. There was a rumor that they could trade Edwards-Helaire and a draft pick for Saquon Barkley to the Giants.
Really?
I saw that somewhere, which would be interesting. But
is that a real thing that somebody had talked about, or is that just like a fan?
It was talked about on either CBS Sports or ESPN or something, some sort of.
Okay. It wasn't like a local website with a guy just like us talking about.
No, it was. There was discussion about that article on Airhead Pride.
Okay.
But most people, I think, poo-pooed it because Saquon has injury history just like Edwards-Helaire does. Even though Saquon has a higher upside than any of the other running backs, and he's potentially a premier back in the league. But again, running backs are not as valuable as they once were, or seen as valuable as they once were in the NFL.
Right. Well, and you can see that in the actual cap numbers for all the players in the running back category. Most expensive player in the group is Edwards-Helaire at just under $3 million for the 2022 season.
Yeah, and his cap hit is even bigger, so there's no reason he would leave. And he's been decent when he's been healthy. He has not been the explosive, exciting running back that a lot of people hoped for when he was drafted, but he's been okay when healthy. He's been injured a lot. I like the Ronald Jones pickup as the second back.
He's relatively inexpensive too, only $1.5 million.
Yeah, he was good at Tampa. He was beaten out by Fournette, but I don't know if he was beaten out. He was. I don't think there's that much of a difference between
decisively.
McKinnon was brought back. He was the Chiefs' best running back down the stretch. They finally used him.
Reliable, probably too, right?
Yeah, he was injured at the beginning of the year, and then he showed a real explosiveness in the Pittsburgh playoff game, especially.
So able to catch passes too.
Catch passes. Derek Gore had some spotty action last season, and there are two new guys, perhaps Isaiah Pacheco, who I think was a 7th round draft pick from Rutgers. If I remember correctly, he had the fastest 40-yard time of any of the running backs in the that were drafted. And he has very high, from Rutgers, very high top line speed, 4.37 40-yard dash. So sub 4.4, pretty good. It's, from what I had seen, he looks sort of like, remember Nile Davis a few years ago?
Yep.
The kick returner, running back from Arkansas. He reminds me of him a little bit, just the way they kind of have that sort of top end speed. So he could be a good returner, I think. If not, maybe a great running back. I'm not sure. But some people, I've also read, some people said that he played for a bad Rutgers team and he was the only good player, and it was hard to evaluate how good he actually was because Rutgers was not very good. And so there's him, and then there's
Tayon Fleet Davis.
I don't know much about Tayon Fleet Davis other than
undrafted
free agent
out of Maryland. Looks like last season he had 721 yards rushing, 5.6 per carry, 8 touchdowns, another touchdown receiving, 305 yards receiving.
Yeah, Maryland was kind of like Rutgers, one of the bottom feeders at the Big Ten last year.
Right.
It kind of has been since since they became members of the Big Ten. But excuse me, he could be, who knows? He could be a diamond in the rough, just like just like Gore kind of has been for the Chiefs. And so I don't know how many running backs they'll keep. Probably 4 running backs and 1 fullback.
Yeah, it's like so Burton's probably on the team by default, right? As the
by default, I think Edwards-Helaire by default.
Yeah,
Jones and McKinnon pretty much since they signed them back.
Right.
And so that leaves kind of 1 spot, I would think. Oh, there's also
they float between the active roster and the practice squad, you think, or do you think they cut them loose?
There's also Jerrion Ely, who was he's not listed on Spot Track, but is listed on the Arrowhead Pride list, who was another undrafted free agent from Ole Miss, who might be a good pickup. So he could also be part of that Pacheco group, but at least 2 of those guys are going on the practice squad, I would say. Do you have any guess? 4th running back, if they keep a 4th running back?
Yeah, I think the guys they actually went out of their way to sign, or like you mentioned, likely on the team for sure. And then a lot of it may just be who stays healthy during the preseason, and somebody does something incredibly explosive that maybe they'll make the roster as the last spot kind of deal, right?
Yeah, I think Gore showed some promise. I think Gore has the inside track. Although Pacheco was a draft pick, he was a 7th round draft pick, so that's not really there is a slight cap hit with Pacheco if he doesn't make the team.
Because he was drafted.
Yeah. And I think I could see Pacheco getting the edge over Gore, but Gore being on the practice squad again.
Yeah.
But that's so maybe those 4.
They'd want to keep Gore around in some capacity, but
I think they do too.
Practice squad or 53-man roster.
I think they do too.
It may just be dependent on injuries running into the first regular season game, though, right?
Yeah, it could be. There's always injuries in training camp. Edwards-Helaire has shown that he is maybe not injury prone is unfair to him, but he has been banged up. Running backs get hurt all the time. McKinnon had some injuries last year. Jones has had an injury, has had injuries in the past, I believe, as well. So
I just don't think it's possible to stay healthy all the time as a running back.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way. Like running's hard enough on the body, but getting hit while running seems to be a pretty easy injury case.
Yeah. Jones has been relatively healthy over his career. He's played in 16, 14, and 16 games the last 3 seasons. I like Jones actually as the number 1 option over Edwards-Helaire.
Really?
Because I think he's more explosive as a runner.
Wow.
Than Edwards-Helaire. Well, I think Helaire's a better 3rd down back because he's good out of the backfield receiving. But Buchanan does that very well too. So I don't know. It's interesting because I think the Chiefs have a lot more running back options this year than they did last year.
Yeah.
Their running back room seems stronger to me because they didn't really lose anybody.
Right.
From last year.
And the main thing with the Chiefs anyway is that the running back isn't necessarily a traditional running back with the Chiefs offense. A lot of pass catching and decoy type plays, right?
Yeah. And
being able to make that last block to give Mahomes an extra second.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the blocking. Edwards-Helaire has been maybe suspect a little bit in his blocking. Gore, they lost Damian Williams and not Darrell Williams, I guess, from last year they lost. But I think Ronald Jones is an improvement over Darrell Williams. 2 years ago, Jones ran for 978 yards in 14 games for Tampa. He had a 5.1 yards per carry average. So that's pretty impressive.
It's 4.5
seven
anywhere close to that, is he?
7 rushing touchdowns. He had a 98-yard touchdown run, which may have inflated that yards per carry. But being able to run for 98 yards to a touchdown is something that we haven't seen from Edwards-Helaire, who's long. I don't know what his longest. Edwards-Helaire's longest run for the Chiefs has been 29 yards. Or I mean 31. Excuse me, 31 yards. That was his rookie year. He's averaged 4.4, 4.3 yards per carry. So decent, but not as strong perhaps as the Chiefs once hoped. He hasn't been that explosive, kind of shifty, Barry Sanders-like guy. Not he's going to be like Barry Sanders, but this sort of, right. Short, shifty, kind of running back. He was the first person drafted, first running back drafted in the 2020 draft, ahead of Jonathan Taylor and Swift for the Lions and some other guys. So
yeah,
he hasn't lived up to that.
He was the last pick of the first round. Is that right?
Last pick of the first round. A lot of people said the Chiefs shouldn't have wasted a draft pick on a running back, but I think actually, if you're picking 32nd, a running back isn't so bad. It's not like you're
maybe getting the best positionally available player, at that spot. That's not necessarily a bad choice. Yeah, previous drafts 10, 15 years ago, those running backs were like top 5 picks all the
time. Saquon Barkley, he was Christian McCaffrey. These guys who have been even 5 years ago being very high draft picks who have not panned out because they've been injured a lot. The value for money, I guess, in running backs is not there like it once was. You don't have the Emmitt Smiths and the Barry Sanderses that are around for years and years.
Right. Well, it's hard to predict longevity for one, but also like the old Broncos model sort of showed that it didn't matter who you had back there if your offensive line was good enough.
That's right.
You could spend a lot less money on a position that every other team is spending a fortune on, and still have a good running back.
Yeah. Your running backs became seen as much more fungible than they had been before, and I think that's been the philosophy. That was also the philosophy for most years of New England when they were doing so well. They had a new running back every
interchangeable position
every year, pretty much, it seemed like. Or they had 2 or 3 guys that they kind of rotate and find the hot hand. Yeah. Okay.
So well,
who do you think has the inside track for the 4th running back position if the Chiefs do end up keeping 4?
I mean, maybe the 5th spot then, if we're including Burton in that.
Yeah, if you include Burton in it, so I guess 5th spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Gore has to be the inside because they already have him. And cost wise, he's not that much more than Pacheco, but what, about $100K more?
Yeah, it's not much difference.
Yeah, the year of experience in the NFL and some actual gameplay too. So I would think he has the edge going into training camp, but all that can change.
Yeah,
an injury or a good performance in the preseason game.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Pacheco the edge simply because I think he might have an edge in the return game and on special teams over Gore. But it could be either way.
Yeah, does Gore return kicks? I don't remember
Gore returning anything last year, but I'm sure he played on special teams. Usually those 3rd, 4th running backs are on special teams.
I think McKinnon had some.
McKinnon returned some stuff,
returns, right? Yeah.
But if he has a bigger role in the offense, because Tyreek was sometimes a returner, but not so much later in his career. Hardman became the main punt returner, But again, Hardman probably by this point will be more integrated into the offense and less of a return man. So there might be more of a spot open for a returner.
Yeah. Jerry and Ely is listed in the wide receivers, just so when we get to that.
Ely's into wide receivers. Okay.
He is on the spot track, but just
okay.
Anyway.
He was drafted as I thought he was drafted as a running back, but I'm not sure.
They put him in this wide receiver category for some reason.
Interesting. Okay.
But we'll talk about that next time, I guess, right?
Yeah. And on Arrowhead Pride, he's on the running back list.
Oh, okay.
So he's seen as a hybrid player. And a hybrid player like that, maybe a Deebo Samuel type that the Chiefs could use. But
is that what you're saying? They're the same person essentially?
Yes, he's going to be just as good or better than Deebo Samuel. That's what I'm saying. Right
there you go. We're track Power Hour exclusive. Gary Neely.
Maybe he'll be good. I don't know.
You don't know.
I think Samuel was a second round draft pick, so probably not. But
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, who wasn't predicted at least. I guess Tyreek Hill was a 5th round draft pick, so but that was because of other reasons, not because of his perceived lack of talent. We won't get into that.
Exactly.
Well, this has been the triumphant return of the Morning Trek Power Hour.
Woo.
As always, he is Dr. Andrew Scaff. I am Mike Werman. We are the Morning Trek Power Hour. And we wish you a very pleasant day. And we will be back soon with even more exciting, wonderful, insightful, and astounding sports tidbits, facts, information, and ideas and commentary on things beyond sports as well. So we will see you then.
Excellent. It's like we never missed a day.
It's like we haven't missed a day. We were just as good as we were.
Year and a half. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. Hair lengths. That's about it.
Video screen doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I'll get a visual approximation up.
you'll do like the old Conan O'Brien when they had the picture and they had Bill Clinton's picture up, but had the guy's lips moving. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I can do that.